This is Toyota's new super economical Aygo Cross hybrid. It doesn't need plugging in. It should just use less fuel. How much less than the previous Aygo Cross? Well, I've already tested that one, so now I'm going to do the exact same test on this one to find out. I'm also going to include the fuel economy results from this 2014 Seat Leon 1.4 turbo petrol manual, because the fuel economy you're going to get from this car is about average. So you're going to be able to compare that super economical car with a more average car, at least in terms of fuel economy. Starting out at 3.1 miles per gallon. And that's because when this engine turns on, it charges the battery to heat the engine up quickly so that it becomes efficient more quickly, but the energy isn't wasted because it goes into the battery to be used later. The urban route is approximately 16 miles long, and it includes 20, 30 and 40 mile per hour roads. I won't be trying to be especially efficient, I'll just drive as I usually drive in both cars. An advantage of having this hybrid system is that as the engine heats itself up quickly, you get warm air out the vents quickly as well. That's nice on a cold day. If you're worrying about the reliability of a hybrid system, how the engine is constantly turning itself on and off and how it heats itself up quickly, well, you don't need to worry because Toyota have been doing this for a long time, since the late 1990s, and their hybrid system has proven to be incredibly reliable. I'm just over 2 miles into the trip now and it's already saying 48 miles to the gallon. This is a short trip so far, yet nearly 50 miles to the gallon. That's very good. A good sign for how economical this car is going to be on this trip. I'm now on a road with a 20 mile per hour speed limit. Not much of this route is 20, less than a mile, but that is where this car really is economical, because in 20 areas, most of the time the engine is switched off. I started this trip when the engine was cold. That's important because engines get better fuel economy when they get up to temperature, but quite often your journey does start with a cold engine. So starting when the engine is cold is going to give you a better idea of how economical this car is in the real world. And on the subject of real world driving, this is not a scientific test, of course not. There's going to be some variables, but I am doing the same route. I'm the same driver. I'm going to try and drive in the same way, but traffic will vary. I'm doing it at a time of day where traffic will hopefully be steady. But scientific tests give you a scientific answer, which doesn't always translate into the real world. And that's the problem we had for years, and we still do today, with cars that claim to get a certain economy, but in the real world you get quite different. And some cars are better at getting close to the claimed economy than others. So doing a real world test will probably be closer to what you would actually get from a car than the scientific test. I'm just over 5 miles into the trip now and it's showing 57 miles per gallon. How many miles per gallon do you think this car is going to get on this 16 mile urban route, which is mostly 30 mile an hour? Let me know in the comments. Obviously let me know before you've seen the result, otherwise that would be cheating. Just over halfway through now and it's saying 72.7 miles per gallon. That's incredible around town. And there doesn't seem to be a compromise because the previous Aygo Cross got to 60 in over 14 seconds. This does it in closer to 9 seconds. So it's significantly faster, yet still incredibly efficient. And I think this is more efficient than that previous Aygo Cross. So win-win. Also easy to drive. This hybrid system makes pulling away smooth and quick. And the brakes are easy to use as well. My only gripe is this seat. It just feels a bit too small. What I'm sitting on isn't wide enough, so my legs, well, the bolsters on the seat are digging into the sides of my legs, and I'm constantly feeling that wherever I go. So it's not very comfortable in that respect, but the suspension is comfortable. It is smooth, deals with the potholes nicely. At the end of the trip now and it's showing 74.6 miles per gallon. Just need to parallel park. It got to around about 70-ish miles per gallon about halfway through the trip and has stayed there. It's gone up and down a little bit depending on whether I'm going uphill or if I'm going slower or faster. But that seems to be the fuel economy you get from this car around town. 74.6. I'll turn it off. If I turn it off, you can see more data. It's going to show me some things here. Try and get rid of those screens. There you go, 16.2 miles, 57 minutes. 73% of that was in EV mode, EV driving, and 74.6 miles to the gallon. Properly impressed with that. I can't remember what I got from the previous Aygo Cross. I did look it up before I started driving, but I've already forgotten and I didn't write it down. But I will put it on screen so you can compare how fuel efficient this new one is compared to the old one, and how fuel efficient it is compared to your regular car, Seat Leon 1.4 turbo petrol. I'm now entering a 70 mile an hour road. Nearly all of this trip will be at 70 miles an hour, so it's going to give you a good idea of how efficient this car is at 70. Need to go a bit quicker because I've got a truck just catching me a little bit there behind. There we go. Merge in front of them, try and get up to 70 when I can. I'll use the cruise control and I'll do 70 miles an hour as much as I can. So we go into lane 2 now, cruise control activated, set to 70, and put the steering on, because the steering system in this car works really well, keeps me centered. Still got my hands on the wheel, but it's just keeping me in the middle, meaning there's less fatigue that I'm going to experience from driving for long periods of time on these roads. 67 miles an hour at the moment. That's because the car in front is doing 67. It's locked onto the car in front and it's matching their speed. The car in front slows down, we're going to slow down. It speeds up, we will as well, but I'll try and do 70 as much as I possibly can. Bear in mind, vehicles ahead look a lot further away than they actually are due to the wide angle lens of the camera, but the system is maintaining approximately 2 seconds of gap between me and the vehicle in front, which is the safe recommended following distance. Already 45.6 miles to the gallon. That's because I've just started, set off, got up to 70 and haven't had much cruising time yet. I'm sure that will get better as this journey goes on. Due to the elephant race up ahead, the lorry very, very slowly overtaking the other lorry, I have been stuck at about 60 miles an hour for a little while. 56 miles an hour is probably the true speed, but this speedo is showing approximately 60 miles an hour. Now the lorry has finished overtaking, hopefully I can get back up to 70. What surprises me is how capable this very small economical city car is on these 70 mile per hour roads. Generally when I drive a city car on these roads, I do have to push them. But this thing, well, it's taking it in its stride. It's got plenty enough power to deal with it. And it's stable. I'm not being moved around from the wind or when I go past lorries. It's just rock solid in its lane. Here, another elephant race. So I'll be doing 60 miles an hour for a little bit of time here. Although that lorry is actually going a bit quicker than the other lorry. This shouldn't take too long. The last one took ages. It's just started raining, and that's going to be a disadvantage for this car compared to the previous Aygo Cross and my Seat Leon, because when I tested those cars on this exact same route, it wasn't raining, and I find when it rains, my fuel economy drops a little bit. I've just left the 70 mile an hour road to turn around and go back the other way. Nearly this whole route is on a 70 mile an hour road. As I said, I'm going to try and stay as close to 70 as possible, but it's not always possible. So halfway through at the moment before I go back the other way, and it's 57.1 miles per gallon. Bit of traffic here, so I'm not doing 70 at the moment, but I am near the end of the route. Now, although you would have watched the intro to this video at the beginning of the video, I haven't filmed that yet. I'm hoping to film that when I get home. Hopefully it's not raining. And the reason why I'm filming it after is because I wanted to do a cold start. So if I would have moved this car to film the intro, that would have wasted my cold start. So I'm going to film the intro after I've done the drive. And that's what I did for the other cars I'm mentioning in this video. So that keeps it fair. Right, I need to leave soon, 0.2 miles, and it's only a very short slip road. Where is it? Can't remember. Coming up soon. Oh, yeah, that white van there. That's where I've got to go. Here we go. Found it. And then get off the road, slow down as much as I can now, and don't drive into that driveway in front of me. That wall is new because, well, people seem to smash into it when they leave the fast road. It's not broken at the moment, but I doubt it will stay built for very long. Coming to the end of this trip now. This is where I end my 70-mile-an-hour route. Same for the other vehicles I'm mentioning in this video, the previous Aygo Cross and my Seat Leon. And I'm going to pull over on the right here. I think that is where I pulled over when I did the video with the previous Aygo Cross. I'll leave a link up there in the top right hand corner of your screen. That's it, top right hand corner of your screen, if you want to watch that video where I compared the old Aygo Cross with my Mazda MX-5. But anyway, after that 70-mile-an-hour route, 60.8 miles per gallon. That is diesel fuel economy. That's economical diesel fuel economy. Let's turn it off to get the full information. Get rid of that screen there. So it's 23.3 miles, 25 minutes, 20% EV driving because it was at higher speed, and 60.8 miles per gallon. Now for the rural roads. So this is going to be the exact same country road route that I did in the Aygo Cross and the Seat Leon, except it is a little bit wet today. Oh, it looks like it's drying out here. It's patchy. Some bits are wet, some bits aren't. I'm about to go uphill for quite some time, and that is going to hurt my fuel economy somewhat. I'll try and do 60 miles an hour whenever I can do 60 miles an hour, whenever it's safe to. I'm not going to dawdle. Hopefully I don't get stuck behind slow moving traffic. If I do get stuck behind some slow moving traffic, I will pull over, let them get away and get going again, just so I can get some speed up. Otherwise, if I go really slow, it's not going to be a fair comparison. So Great Braxton, this is the uphill bit. Not fun cycling up here, but the speed limit is 60 miles an hour. Got a bend to do. And then I have quite a long uphill stretch at 60. So at the moment, given my view, around about 50-ish, what I'm doing now is what I feel safe with, and that is what the cars in front are doing. It's a bit narrow here, the road is a bit broken on the left. I'm starting to catch up with the vehicles ahead there. That's because the van was turning right. Hopefully this black vehicle in front of me, when it's safe to, makes full use of the speed limit, as I intend to do when it's safe also. Although it's not quite safe to do 60 just here. It is narrow and bendy. And this is where we can do 60. Car in front's doing about 53, which is pretty good. I don't normally get to do 60 on these tests. Usually I am behind the car going a little bit slower, but this is pretty good speed, 54 miles an hour. I'll accept that. That's good enough for the test. Still going uphill though. What's the fuel economy? 50, how is that possible? I've been going uphill this whole time. I was expecting to see like 30 something or 40 something, but it's still in the 50s. This is voodoo magic. It is raining, but the road does still seem to be quite dry here. So the amount of drag that the car is under shouldn't be much different. Going through water like this, standing water, that is going to increase drag, but mostly it is dry. So that's the end of the difficult bit for the car, the long uphill section with a 60 mile per hour speed limit. I was doing over 50 most of the way up there. 60 miles per gallon. I did not expect that. I didn't expect to have 60 miles per gallon by the time I got to here. I thought it was going to be low and then I was going to slowly recoup it as the journey went on, but we'll see what happens. On this country route, there are some 50s, 40s and 30s, but primarily it is national speed limit. Okay, I've just caught up with a tractor. If I don't get an opportunity to either pass it or it pulls over or leaves soon, I will pull over myself and just wait until I have a clear stretch of road so I can get going. It's not safe to pass it at the moment. My visibility ahead is nowhere near good enough. But generally these tractors, they don't do long stretches on these roads. They tend to go from one field to the next, so they're not on them for very long. So hopefully I won't be here too long. So I wasn't getting past that tractor. There was one section of road where I could have passed it if nobody was coming the other way, but somebody was coming the other way. So I've pulled over at the side of the road. I'm going to let the road clear, then hopefully be able to get up to 60 miles an hour and really see what this thing can do when it's doing 60 miles an hour on these rural roads where I'm accelerating for the straights and braking for the bends. At the moment, it's saying 98.2 miles per gallon. I don't know how. Okay, so I have a clear road now. I can get up to speed and make the most out of these roads. So I'm braking now towards this bend, maintaining a speed on this little straight here before the next bend, maybe a little bit faster, and then braking again here and then accelerating again. So lots of accelerating and braking on this national speed limit road. I really don't know how this is possible. I'm not accelerating quickly, but I am making full use of the speed limit when it's safe to do so. Yet, it's saying 81 miles to the gallon. I did not expect that. I was thinking in the early 70s, if I'm lucky. But still some of the journey left, so we will see what the end result is very soon. So just finishing up the rural road trip, and let's see, stop here, 79.3 miles per gallon. I don't know how. Turn it off, let's see the full information. So 17.8 miles, 44 minutes, still 74% EV driving ratio. How is that possible? I was accelerating up that hill for a very long time and the engine was on pretty much that whole time, but it does seem to turn the engine off a lot, and 79.3 miles per gallon. I'm going to go indoors, have some lunch. Hopefully by the time I finish doing that, the rain's gone away. I'm going to crunch some numbers and let you know how this car compares. So I have the figures now, I'll put them on screen. It's worth noting though that this Toyota Aygo Cross Hybrid is quite a bit different to the previous Aygo Cross. For starters, the price. The previous one, last year, well, that started at just under £17,000. This new one, £21,500, over £4,500 extra. But you do get more for your money. The hybrid system doesn't only improve fuel economy, it improves drivability. 0 to 62 miles an hour in the previous Aygo Cross was 14.9 seconds, nearly 15 seconds to reach 62. This new one is 9.2 seconds. So that's not just a significant difference. That's an important one, because when you have a car that takes nearly 15 seconds to get to 60, that can make driving that car a challenge. It can make keeping up with the flow of traffic, doing slip roads, going to fast roads, difficult and requires skill. Whereas this car, 9.2 seconds, once you have a car that can get to 60 in less than 10 seconds, generally it's very easy to drive. Once you get less than 8 seconds, that's when things start to get sporty. But it's not just the 0 to 60 time. That doesn't tell the full story, even though it tells a big story. How this car is so different is just how it reacts when you put your foot on the gas. You want to pull out into a roundabout, it's whoosh, it goes. Whereas with the old manual one, you needed skill to get full use out of that 71 brake horsepower that it had. I found that quite fun, but it does require skill. It is a more difficult car to drive than this one. This one feels like a far more premium car due to the hybrid system. I'm now going to tell you how many more miles this Toyota Aygo Cross Hybrid can do on £45 worth of fuel. Why £45? Well, I think most of us, when we fill up our cars, we think about how much it's cost us, not how many litres we've put in. I know over time fuel prices change, so these figures will change, but at the moment, £45 gets you around about 34 litres of fuel, which is around about 7.6 imperial gallons. And for £45, this Aygo Cross Hybrid will get you an extra 135 miles around town. These aren't scientific tests, so that's rough, but it's still a big difference. Even if my tests are a bit inaccurate, there's a significant difference there. That's many hours of urban driving, significantly more urban journeys from the hybrid than the previous Aygo Cross. At 70 miles an hour, the previous Aygo Cross actually did a bit better, but these are not scientific tests, so it's close enough to say it's about the same. There's many variables there, but they both took exactly 25 minutes, both those journeys, so perhaps the Aygo Cross did do a bit better. Hybrid systems don't really help you at high constant speeds. They help you when you're going slow and when you're speeding up and slowing down, so there's no surprise that the hybrid isn't really helping much at motorway speeds, but it still did well. It still got over 60 miles to the gallon according to the trip computer. That's still diesel-like fuel economy, so it's not bad. It's just not amazing like it is around town and, as we're about to find out, on rural roads. This Toyota Aygo Cross Hybrid will get you an extra 165 miles on rural roads compared to the previous Aygo Cross. Again, many hours of driving there, quite a few hours of rural road driving for your £45. That is a significant difference. When I make videos like this, I often get comments saying, why am I trusting the trip computer? The trip computer lies. Why not do a brim to brim test? That's where you fill up the tank with fuel, you drive it around, and then fill up the tank again to see exactly how many litres you've used. But it doesn't work when you're doing short distances. If I do 25 miles at 70-ish miles an hour, how many litres am I going to use? 2 litres-ish? So when I go to fill it up, the click off on the pump, well, that better be accurate, and it's not. That can vary by half a litre easily, maybe even a litre. So I might use 2 litres and it will tell me I've used 1. When you're using a whole tank of fuel, that difference when the pump clicks off is not such a big problem because you're using many more litres of fuel. But for a short journey, the trip computer is actually far more accurate than the brim to brim test. You could say fill it up and you see the fuel starting to almost drip out of the hole where you put your nozzle in. Well, that's not good for your car because that can damage the evap system. You actually want to stop pumping when the pump clicks off at the petrol station. So for the shorter journeys, I'm actually better off using the trip computer and just bearing in mind, yes, they do overread a little bit most of the time. Some actually underread. My Leon generally tends to underread a little bit, although I've tested that well over 600 times. I know exactly what it does, and it's actually varied through its life as well. But generally, in my experience, Toyotas are fairly accurate, maybe overreading by 2, possibly 3 miles to the gallon to give you an idea, but the previous Aygo Cross would have been doing the same thing anyway, so I think this is actually a more consistent way to do the test. Well, I hope you found the video interesting. If you did, please give it a thumbs up, and if you're looking for car insurance, check out the links to Collingwood and Confused in the description. If you're learning to drive and want to insure yourself on somebody else's car so that you can practice your driving, Collingwood are there for you because you can insure yourself on somebody else's car without affecting the owner's policy because you have your own policy on that car. That takes away a big stress from the owner of that car. Via the link at the moment, there's up to 35% off and a £20 gift card. If you want to insure your own car, I recommend checking out the link to confused.com because you fill out one quote form and get loads of quotes back from many insurers to compare who's cheapest. And you can change your car on that quote as many times as you like without having to do the whole quote again. So it's a quick and easy way to compare how much it costs to insure different cars. Using the links doesn't cost you anything, but it does support the channel, so thank you very much. Subscribe to get my future videos, and until the next one, cheerio.